In the early 14th century, the Ottoman Empire was a rising power, emerging from the ashes of the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum. What started as a small principality in Anatolia would soon become a formidable empire that spanned continents. The Balkans, a region divided by rival factions, fragmented kingdoms, and the weakening Byzantine Empire, provided the Ottomans with a crucial opportunity to expand their influence westward. The Byzantine Empire, once a mighty force, had been in steady decline for centuries. Internal conflicts, political instability, and constant invasions from outside forces had left it vulnerable to new threats. The once great empire was now reduced to a mere shadow of its former self, struggling to defend its borders and maintain control over its territories. This power vacuum was the perfect environment for the Ottomans to make their move. In 1300, the Ottoman Principality, founded by Osman I, began to grow stronger, gaining territory in the region of northwestern Anatolia. It was in this period that the Ottomans first set their sights on the Balkans, a region that would become their gateway to Europe. Their strategic location in Anatolia, with easy access to the Balkans across the Dardanelles Strait, made it a logical next step in their military and political expansion. The first significant step in Ottoman expansion into Europe occurred in 1354, when the Ottomans seized the key fortress of Gallipoli. Located on the Gallipoli Peninsula, this victory opened the gates for the Ottomans to cross into Europe and solidified their position in the region. Gallipoli was more than just a military victory. It marked the first foothold of the Ottoman Empire on European soil and established the Ottomans as a dominant force in the Balkans. The fall of Gallipoli sent shockwaves through the region. The Ottoman army, led by Sultan Orhan IV, rapidly advanced further into the Balkans, capitalizing on the disarray among the various Balkan states. The region was plagued by constant infighting, with local rulers more concerned about securing their own power than uniting against the growing Ottoman threat. This fragmentation played directly into the hands of the Ottomans, who were skilled at exploiting divisions among their enemies. By the time Sultan Orhan IV ascended to the throne in 1326, the Ottomans had already begun to solidify their position in the Balkans. Orhan's leadership marked a turning point in Ottoman history, as he sought to expand the empire beyond Anatolia and into Europe. Under his rule, the Ottomans moved steadily westward, conquering important cities such as Bursa, which would become the first major Ottoman capital. The conquest of Bursa in 1326 not only secured the Ottomans' power in Anatolia, but also paved the way for further expansion into Europe. The Ottomans employed a combination of military strategy, diplomacy, and religious tolerance to expand their influence. They were not simply conquerors, they were skilled at forging alliances with local rulers and integrating their new territories into the growing Ottoman state. This approach allowed the Ottomans to minimize resistance in many areas, as local elites and populations often found it advantageous to submit to Ottoman rule rather than face the consequences of prolonged conflict. Sultan Orhan's strategy was to establish a strong military presence in the newly conquered territories while ensuring the loyalty of the local population. To achieve this, the Ottomans relied heavily on the establishment of military garrisons, the construction of fortresses, and the implementation of Ottoman governance structures. The Ottomans were also known for their religious tolerance, allowing the Christian population in their newly acquired territories to practice their faith and maintain their institutions, such as the Orthodox Church. This policy not only secured the loyalty of local Christians, but also helped to create a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society within the empire, which would become one of the key characteristics of Ottoman rule. By the 1360s, the Ottomans had established a solid foothold in the Balkans, and their military campaigns continued to push further into the region. One of the most significant milestones in this expansion was the capture of Adrianople, modern-day Edirne, in 1361. Adrianople, which would become the Ottomans' second capital, was a strategic city located near the borders of the Byzantine Empire. Its capture marked a major turning point in the Ottoman conquest of the Balkans, as it provided the Ottomans with a secure base from which to launch further campaigns into Europe. The fall of Adrianople was a significant blow to the Byzantine Empire, which was already on the brink of collapse. The Byzantines were unable to mount a strong defense against the advancing Ottoman forces, and the city fell relatively easily. The Ottomans then established their administrative and military center in Adrianople, where they strengthened their hold on the surrounding regions. The city would serve as a critical hub for Ottoman military operations, linking the empire's Anatolian and European territories. With Adrianople under Ottoman control, the Ottomans gained not only a strategic military base, but also a symbol of their growing power in Europe. The city became a focal point for further Ottoman expansion into the Balkans, as the Ottomans continued to push deeper into southeastern Europe. The Ottomans' military successes, combined with their diplomatic efforts, allowed them to secure control over key cities and regions in the Balkans, setting the stage for the empire's continued rise in Europe. In summary, the expansion of the Ottoman Empire into the Balkans was a gradual and calculated process. Through a combination of military victories, strategic alliances, and religious tolerance, the Ottomans were able to secure their foothold in the region and lay the foundation for their future dominance in southeastern Europe. The conquest of Gallipoli, Bursa, and Adrianople, along with the successful leadership of Sultan Orhan I, marked the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's expansion into the Balkans, a region that would become central to its power for centuries to come. The 14th century saw the Ottoman Empire rapidly expanding into the Balkans, carving out a path of dominance that would last for centuries. By the time the Ottomans captured Adrianople in 1361, their position in the region was becoming unshakable. The Ottoman forces, having established a strong base in the city, began to march forward, continuing their relentless advance westward and solidifying their hold over the Balkans. The fall of Adrianople set the stage for an era of military conquest, political maneuvering, and cultural integration that would shape the future of the region. Following the capture of Adrianople, the Ottomans expanded their territory into the northern Balkans, specifically into Thrace, and into the regions of modern-day Bulgaria, Greece, and Serbia. The Ottomans had a calculated strategy of both direct military action and fostering alliances with local leaders, many of whom were eager to maintain their power under the Ottoman umbrella rather than face a direct confrontation. The Ottomans were careful to promote peace in their newly acquired territories, offering protection to local populations in exchange for loyalty, tribute, and military service. In 1389, the Ottomans faced one of their most critical and defining battles, the Battle of Kosovo. Sultan Murad I, father of Sultan Bayezid I, confronted the Serbian forces led by Prince Lazar Hrebeljanović. While the battle was inconclusive and did not decisively end the conflict, it marked a turning point in the history of the Balkans. Following the battle, the Ottomans gained significant influence over Serbia and continued to exert pressure on the other Balkan states. The impact of the battle, however, would last far beyond the battlefield itself, signaling the inevitable decline of the Serbian Empire and the growing presence of the Ottomans in southeastern Europe. Despite the strength of local resistance, the Ottoman forces were well-equipped and disciplined, bolstered by their elite Janissary Corps and their strategic use of siege warfare. Ottoman military tactics, especially their use of gunpowder and advanced artillery, proved to be far superior to those of their European rivals, making their expansion into the Balkans nearly unstoppable. The use of advanced military technology, coupled with the skill of Ottoman generals, gave them a distinct edge in every battle. One of the most notable aspects of Ottoman expansion was their method of administration. While military might play a significant role, it was the Ottomans' ability to govern their vast and diverse territories that ensured the longevity of their empire. The Ottomans introduced the millet system, a unique form of governance that allowed religious communities within their empire to self-manage their own affairs. The system was designed to keep peace among the empire's many ethnic and religious groups, which included Orthodox Christians, Muslims, and Jews. The Milits had their own leaders, courts, and schools, while the Ottoman Sultan remained the ultimate authority. This system allowed the Ottomans to integrate a diverse range of peoples into the empire without causing major unrest. The Christians in the Balkans, many of whom had faced heavy persecution under previous rulers, found the Ottoman system relatively tolerant. In return for their loyalty, the Christian communities were allowed to maintain their religious and social structures, which was crucial to ensuring their cooperation with Ottoman rule. As the 15th century approached, the Ottomans continued their conquest of the Balkans, with the fall of the Serbian Empire culminating in the capture of Srebrenica in 1459 and the eventual incorporation of most of Bosnia and Herzegovina into Ottoman territory. The city of Sarajevo would become a key administrative center under Ottoman rule. With every conquest, the Ottomans not only expanded their territory, but also further entrenched themselves in the cultural, economic, and social fabric of the Balkans. The Ottoman Empire's presence in the Balkans also brought significant economic and infrastructural changes. The Ottomans invested heavily in building roads, bridges, and markets that facilitated trade across the empire. These improvements boosted the local economy and connected the Balkans more closely with the rest of the Ottoman Empire. In the long term, the Ottomans integrated the region into their complex system of taxation and governance, establishing new trade routes and markets that benefited both the empire and the local population. As the Ottomans continued to expand, the influence of the Byzantine Empire rapidly diminished. The weakening Byzantine Empire, having already lost much of its former glory, found it increasingly difficult to resist the growing Ottoman forces. The Byzantines, now reduced to little more than the city of Constantinople, would soon face their final demise. In 1453, Constantinople would fall to the Ottomans, ending the Byzantine Empire once and for all. This event marked the culmination of centuries of Ottoman expansion and the beginning of a new chapter in the history of both the Balkans and Europe. The fall of Constantinople did not just signal the end of the Byzantine Empire, it also marked the Ottomans as the dominant power in southeastern Europe. Their control of the city gave them access to vital trade routes between Asia and Europe, and it also allowed them to solidify their power in the Mediterranean. With Constantinople under their control, the Ottomans established it as their new capital, renaming it Istanbul, and began the process of transforming the city into a global center of culture, learning, and religion. By the mid-15th century, the Ottomans had firmly established their foothold in the Balkans, and their influence would only continue to grow. They were now in control of nearly all of southeastern Europe, and their military, political, and cultural presence would shape the region for centuries to come. The Ottomans were not just conquerors, they were also great builders and administrators, leaving a lasting legacy in the Balkans that can still be seen in the architecture, culture, and traditions of the region today. In conclusion, the establishment of Ottoman footholds in the Balkans was a combination of military prowess, strategic alliances, and effective governance. Through their disciplined armies, advanced tactics, and policies of religious tolerance, the Ottomans were able to expand their empire and solidify their dominance in southeastern Europe. The integration of the Balkans into the Ottoman Empire would leave a profound impact on the region, shaping its history for centuries to come. The Ottoman legacy in the Balkans is still evident today, with remnants of Ottoman architecture, cuisine, and culture influencing the countries that were once part of the empire.